What's up guys? Now, really quickly, Conor McGregor posted a couple training videos, one a little bit ago and one yesterday. So they are two of the most recent training footage that we have of Conor, and Conor's return is extremely anticipated, especially of what form he comes out there in, right? How he's gonna look, what is he gonna use against Donald Cerrone. And we do know that Dominic Cruz briefly said that Conor, he's gonna do some things out there that is probably something we haven't seen before. And if you guys check my analysis of Conor's other sparring video before, he came out there with a much more traditional boxing stance, hands up to his head, walking forward and squared his stance to his opponent a little bit more, throwing combinations even to the body. And a lot of people were speculating, is this a change to Conor McGregor's style? And looking at the most recent training footages from Conor McGregor, we can say that Conor, at least in training, he's trying things out and he is keeping this very similar style. But here when he's hitting pads and when he's sparring with his opponent, the stance is a little bit more square, hands are really high up, and he's mixing up combinations instead of trying to snipe the opponent. You'll see him throw these left hands, but now they're in combination a lot more, and he's following up with that right hand a lot more with power. Now here's the thing, against a guy like Donald Cerrone, this style is actually a lot more beneficial than the usual perpendicular sideways style to the opponent and trying to snipe with the left hand, trying to push him into that line of sight. Because what we do know about Donald Cerrone is he doesn't deal well with pressure, he doesn't deal well with traditional boxing, he doesn't deal well with volume. And the fact that you're pushing him back, it's a lot harder to set up for kicks, and it's a lot more obvious for the opponent to see them coming because you gotta plant before you throw it. Especially in Donald Cerrone's case where he's more of a Muay Thai fighter, right? So this style from Conor McGregor, if he comes out there in fight night like this can actually really work against Donald Cerrone, right? Crowding Cerrone, marching him down, always anticipating the high kicks, because when you're taking that sideways stance and hands low and head up high, his chin is not usually up, but his head is exposed. You don't want to risk getting caught clean unexpected by some high kick that Cerrone catches on most of his opponents. Cerrone has landed the most high kicks in the UFC's history, right? He has a lot of high kick knockouts. He has dropped people with a lot of high kicks, and they're very, very sneaky. It's not like a follow through traditional Muay Thai round kick. He throws up his knee and then he flicks out his shin at the opponent. It's a very weird kick that he uses, and everybody who's trained with him has said the same thing. It's crazy how he generates so much power in such a sneaky and quick kick without that usual follow through. It's a mix of like a snap kick and a roundhouse kick. Very awkward at time and very hard to see coming. And Conor, if he's going to keep his hands low, stay sideways, he could potentially get intercepted by that kick on the side, because the more sideways you are, the harder it is to block kicks. It's a lot easier to move away from them because of your linear stance, right? You can move forward and back very quickly, but it is a lot harder to block because the fact your stance is so sideways, you can get pushed to your left and to your right with little resistance. But when you square up your stance a little bit more and keep your hands up and march your opponent down, you can block kicks a lot better. You won't get off balance if you block them, and you could just keep marching forward behind the kick. Maybe land the left hand behind one of those, right? And they are opposite stances, so it's going to favor Cerrone for the kicks, right? He has an open side on Conor. And also what's great to see from Conor is he's keeping that bounce in his step. He's not plotting too much in these training videos, which is a great thing to see, because in his last few fights, Conor has shown to be very plodding. He just marches down and is pretty slow with his movement. With this boxing stance of his and the movement he brings, he can also get in and out, right? He's not going to be in the way and just have to block kicks, which is, no matter what, dangerous to do, right? They can get right through the guard, they can break your arm if you do it incorrectly. So even if he has to get away a little bit with that bounce and keep that stance and hands up high, he can do that and then explode back in behind the kick when the kick is retracting and land that left hand on Cerrone, because they are in opposite stances, right? So Conor can also line up the left hand just like Cerrone can line up the kick. So it works for both of them in different ways. And Conor's doing that right hook a lot after the left hand, and that's very good to see. Ending your combinations with the lead hand is always a safer measure because it naturally gets you back into your stance, and then you can move immediately afterward. When you just throw your power hand and then try to retract it, there's a lot of time it takes for your hand to come back to your side without anything stopping your opponent from attacking you, counter-attacking you. But if you throw the left hand, that same left hand, extend it a little bit, but then follow through with the right hook, now the opponent has to worry about the right hook, and at the same time you're throwing it, the hook is putting you back into your stance and your hands are at your sides again. And we all know that Conor is exceptional at slipping straight punches, and that is really the only kind of punching technique that Cerrone throws. He doesn't throw anything looping or to the side or any hooks or something like that. The fact that he's marching down his opponent so closely relative to how he usually keeps a very far distance to his opponent, if he does this to Cerrone, he's going to force some straight punches out of Cerrone and counter him just like he does to his sparring partner right here. Slick slip on the outside, and lands that straight left hand down the center, right? And if he shows that right hook afterward, just that right hook alone is going to be very hard to see coming after the left hand. It could potentially just catch Cerrone right there and then, and possibly even hurt him. The only thing is, if Conor is bobbing and weaving and moving his head the way he is against a kicker like Cerrone, that's going to be very ill-advised. I think Conor needs to keep it more up straight, a more center posture. Don't move your head side to side against a kicker. It's a very dangerous thing to do. But the only time that will be effective is if he's in close, right? He has to just watch out from knees and stuff like that if he's moving his head down too much. But side to side, it's going to be even harder for a knee to land because knees come up the center usually, right? Unless you turn the angle in a very unorthodox manner that you don't normally see. Staying right in front of Cerrone, right in his face, and using this kind of head movement is going to be so effective against the boxing of Cerrone because he throws straight punches and he's very tall, right? He's going to punch down at Conor, and when you punch down, your hands naturally drop, right? And your chin is naturally exposed over the shoulder, and that's where Conor can land that left hand down the center and then right hook right over that shoulder and catch Cerrone right on the chin. Now, at the end of this can just be for training. This can be just something Conor's drilling but won't use in the fight, which is something fighters do all the time, right? They're trying different things. And until they get very comfortable doing it in an actual intense fight, we probably won't see this from Conor in the fight. Maybe he comes out like his usual old self, but it's a big possibility he's going to come into this fight specifically with this kind of style and shock a lot of people with this change, but I think it would be very beneficial and actually work against a guy like Cerrone. But the fact we've seen so many training videos with Conor incorporating this style shows a high probability he'll enter into his next fight with some elements of this work. I mean, especially because these are so close to his fight. I mean, we're only 1 week out and he's putting out videos with him training in this style. You know, training camp is specifically for a fight. So if he's training like this in preparation for his fight, we're most likely going to see some elements of this work. And here's the other thing, a lot of people are speculating Conor's change of training camp. The way it looks like he's training here, it looks very much controlled and nothing to be really worried about. And the other thing is Conor's punches and his form look very sharp. The bounce in his step is something I really wanted to see. His right hook especially has great form. He throws it palm down just like Triple G does, and that kind of punch can get around the guard. So even if Cerrone, Cerrone will keep his hands high. If Conor goes to that same hook, palm down, he can get right behind the guard easily with 4-ounce gloves. And all these punches he's throwing with the great footwork he's displaying look to have really good power used in his legs for every single punch, especially those uppercuts, man. Great training footage from Conor McGregor coming into the fight. And just watching this, with the unknown of him coming into his return, I am a lot more confident in how Conor's going to perform out there. Looks like a good environment, and we're going to see how it transitions into fight night. So it's going to be very interesting next Saturday, and I cannot wait. And I'll see you guys in the next video.